In September 2011, I'd received my call, moved, and assumed a principal position just over a month prior when an odor penetrated the halls. We had a gas leak and not the type common to the junior high ward. With no procedures or policies in place, we handled the situation by evacuating the school to the church fellowship hall until the threat had been handled by the gas company. In the spring of that same year, we had a bus take an unplanned off-road field trip to the ditch. Luckily, nobody was hurt. We only had some shaken up students and concerned parents. 1 year later, we received an urgent call from the state police telling us to immediately go into modified lockdown. All doors were to remain locked and nobody was allowed in or out of the facility. Purportedly, a man was on the loose with a blowgun. Again, we had no procedures in place, but were fortunate to have our law enforcement heavily involved. Luckily, the villain was nothing more than a walrus. Cuckoo, choo. The man making the sighting was high, and there was no real danger. On a foggy day in May, a bus carrying our students attempted to cross a 4-lane highway before rudely being escorted off the road by a semi-trailer traveling in the neighborhood of 60 miles an hour. All the students were taken to the hospital, and 2 were life-flighted to Omaha. We had no procedures for communication with parents, students, staff, or the ever-present media. 2 months later in the summer, the time to relax. Right. An 8th grade student discovered he had Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome after going into cardiac arrest. He was successfully resuscitated and spent several days in the hospital recovering. Again, we had no plans or procedures to follow as our response. 10 days later, I received a phone call that one of our former kindergarten students had accidentally been shot and killed by his older brother, one of our 6th grade students. In all these situations, God blessed the clarity, actions, and swiftness in which they were dealt with. However, there were no guidelines, policies, or procedures to follow in any of the circumstances. So that's actually not my SLED project. It's just a summary of events from my first 2 years as principal that exposed some weaknesses of our school that motivated my project on crisis management. Crisis management broken down into 3 components. First one is writing new policy for those that don't exist, refining the policies also that do exist, then training for staff and students, and then finally upgrades to our facility. The first target area was to compile a crisis management policy. It includes who's contacted, intervention teams to take action, who deals with the media, and then locations where this all takes place. Current existing policies like tornado and fire plans were updated. Classrooms were given emergency contact info for students. Color-coded cards that communicated the urgency of assistance to emergency management personnel. Finally, we worked on our after-school pickup lines.
Hey baby, it's after school. Not those kind of pickup lines. Pickup lines where parents come to pick up their children to retrieve them after school by either walking up to school and escorting them to the car, or else students would wait in the lines for parents to drive through. The second target area is based on training for the staff and for the students. I went to a 2-day workshop on multi-hazard training. We trained our students and teachers in ALICE training. I also did a walkthrough with a member of our police department and our fire department through the entire facility, and then sent a copy of our crisis management policy to the police department so they would have it on file. The final target area was to improve our school's physical security. First, we mandated that all of our doors be locked during the school day. Visitors would wear either visitor or volunteer badges. In the summer of 2013, we installed windows in all of our doors to ensure that there's no funny business going on behind closed doors. During the fall, our phone system was tied into our fire alarm. That way students everywhere, including in the hallways and in the gym, could hear urgent messages. We installed a privacy fence around the perimeter of our playground. We brought in controlled access to our building. Our daycare is equipped with cameras, 3 monitors, and a buzz system. Our school had a second set of entry doors so our secretary can buzz people in after they discuss their business at the school. Finally, we equipped our teachers with AK-47s. Right, this is Nebraska, not South Dakota. All these things are encompassed into my project on crisis management, prevention of what we can control, and actions and procedures for what we can't. Thank you.